Welcome, everyone. We're really close to Mother's Day here at Mothers to Daughters, and we are so honored to have here today a trendsetter, a woman championing love and relationships and really caring to ameliorate relationships between biological mothers and biological daughters. My name is Francine. I'm the founder of Mothers to Daughters, and it's my honor and my pleasure to welcome Dr. Debra Mandel. She's a psychologist, a relationship expert, and an author of a book we have the privilege to learn more about today, Sassy and Rude. Welcome, Dr. Debra.
Thank you so much. I am honored to be here in your presence and to be part of this community. So thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. If you want to just tell the audience about what really led you to produce this masterpiece, you can see Sassy and Rude, you see some pink, you see daughter on the side, a mother on the corner, and just walk us through the process of getting to this place.
Absolutely. Well, I think mothers and daughter relationships are so precious. And not to say that all the other forms of relationships aren't also extremely complicated and precious as well. But there's something very unique and special about a mother-daughter relationship, at least in my heart. And I did not have a great time with my mom, unfortunately. She was a mother very young. She really didn't. I don't think she really wanted to be a mother at that time. She gave up a career in modeling. She was an immigrant. She just wasn't really grounded in that role. I know she did the best she could, and I know that she loved me, but she was really a heavy-handed type of mom. And I was a super sensitive little girl. And I was looking for the hugs and the love and the affirmations and the accolades. And my mother was pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get back out there. And there was no coddling and there was no comfort. It was just a very hard line. This is what you do, and this is how you make it. Pretty much the way she was raised. So I really decided that in my deepest heart, if I ever had children, which I ended up having a daughter, that I would
Amazing.
really try to do something different and make sure that I filled her with love in her heart and made sure that she really felt those warm fuzzies that I often didn't feel. What I learned about that, though, is that sometimes we can do what's called a pendulum swing, which is
Oh.
where we do the opposite of that which we received, and sometimes it yields its own level of problems. So also in my career of over 30 years now as a psychologist, I have worked with countless mother and daughter duos and have seen the depths and the realms of pain that people go through when that relationship is at odds. And so I really wanted to write this book to give people some hope and some tools that they would be able to use and draw from when you have that sassy and rude experience. And by the way, the daughter may perceive the mom as sassy and rude also. How to tweak that attitude into something where we can bring back a little sugar and spice in that relationship.
I love that. You dropped so many gems here from, having that relationship with your mother to you having a daughter and really striving to do so much better because, it's so important to have those great relationships. And we're talking about blood relationships here, so even more important. And I like how those lessons you learned translated into telling the world you are not alone. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, tell us how this, transformative experience has really shaped, the message you're putting out there and any words of encouragement to mother-daughter, not having the similar relationships that you're fostering with your daughter now, feeling like you're the worst daughter and so on.
Yeah, well, I think that moms really, in their heart of hearts, want to do the best by their girls. They want to do the best they can. And they're usually, unless they're suffering from some mental illness or something in that realm, for the most part, when we become a mom, we want to do the best for our kids. And so to understand that in your heart, it's all good. We're not judging the heart, we're not judging the intentions, but sometimes the way in which we interact just isn't a good fit for our own gal because we have different personalities. So one of the things I introduce in the book is the idea of the too nice mom. And it's a syndrome. It's this I'm going to do everything for her all the time, lose myself, not pay attention to myself. And so I kind of come up with these different categories like friendly Frida, perfectionistic,
Right.
yeah, just, and they're drawn from examples of the other mothers that I've worked with, and also give examples of the types of sassy daughters that are out there, and
Right.
trying to help people understand, it's not that you're going to fit into any one category, but sometimes having like a little bit of a guideline somewhere, maybe just some structure around an idea that, oh, that kind of really sings to me, that really fits for me, and then specific tools and ideas for that particular personality type or that particular style of parenting. But the idea being that when we're doing the best we can, it's not always going to be received in the same way in which we intended. So we
We've
have to
learned that the hard way.
yeah. So we have to learn how to get rid of shame and get rid of blame and take accountability and be responsible and be able to acknowledge the mistakes that we have made along the way. And that can open up a whole new treasure chest for our daughters to want to come toward us and say, oh, there's something here for me. I think there's some mending, there's some healing that we can do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really, really great point. And really, I really love how you say, the part where you feel like it's almost overcompensating on things that either you haven't received yourself, or you feel you just like the too nice, right? And then there's the extreme, the being too mean, meaning maybe dealing with generational trauma. Do you have any and I know you did work on your first book. It was all about how to deal with emotions. You've had a series of people giving testimonials on how that has worked, and dealing with your own experience with your mother. How do you interconnect all these different aspects?
Absolutely. Great question, because it is the emotional wounds that we carry from our own generational past that we do tend to pass along to our next generation if they're unhealed. So we really need to get conscious about what those are. So we're really doing conscious parenting, right? Because if we're
Right.
unconscious, we can't do conscious parenting. And our daughters are going to recognize that. So it's
Right.
really important that we do inventories, that we understand what those wounds are. There's plenty of tools. I do something in the book called the sugar and spice exercise.
I
So
did that exercise and I rated a tree, and I would just actually wanted to hear more about how do
yeah.
you even balance that act, right? So please carry on.
Yeah, so we do want to get deeper into our own inventory of wounds that we are still carrying around and how we're going to heal them. And I do give some examples and ideas about ways in which you can do that. Some of it is letter writing, some of it is journaling, some of it is just talking to yourself in the mirror, learning how to be compassionate with yourself, learning to give yourself that which you did not receive, and then no longer looking at your daughter as the source to be actually your parent or to be your healer, but actually having a mother-daughter relationship where you're the mom, even though now she's an adult, you're still the mom,
Right.
but you can have a different kind of respect for one another than you having to parent her all the way through.
Right. Yeah. I love that. And at Mothers to Daughters, that generational element is really key. We really try to reconcile different generations, put them together, and have that transfer of knowledge, right, in the way of mentoring. And something we found sometimes, back to those emotions, is daughters sometimes, when they try to establish that mother-daughter figure in the spiritual sense of things, some of those experiences come back as they try to build that relationship in a way that doesn't really let them open up, or they feel on the fence about how that mentor can actually contribute or add value into their lives.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes daughters just are not open to their moms to be their mentor at a certain time.
Right.
And that really needs to get healed before you can even begin to have that kind of relationship. But I have found that if we really take the love in our hearts and we communicate it in a way that is well received, and we take ownership and accountability for the ways in which we messed up and how we want to do better, it does tend to open our daughters' hearts. And they do want to see us in that way as someone who can provide guidance and assistance in the new challenges that they face in their lives. And on kind of on a funny note, I used to always say to my daughter, don't worry, I have a college fund for you and a therapy fund, because I know that no matter what, I'm going to mess up. And
Yeah.
and it's just it's part of the process. And you know what? Our daughters in this next generation are also going to make mistakes with their own children, because they may do another pendulum swing. So the idea
Exactly. And you
is
said it
really,
so well. You said generational cycles of dysfunction are prevalent everywhere. I thought
yeah.
that was such a, it doesn't just apply to that mother-daughter dynamic or mentor-mentee. It's just, yeah, it's something we live with.
And what's so important about healing this relationship is that a mother-daughter relationship bleeds into everything. I mean, it's all around, right? Even if it's with your own partner, an intimate partner, or it's with if you have a son. I mean, that relationship, if it's at its core, and it's one of the hardest ones to navigate because daughters need to separate and individuate from their moms more so than they do from their dads because there's just a natural difference. And so one of
Yeah,
the things I do talk about in the book is that whole process and understanding that separation individuation process so that
yeah.
moms get a sense like, oh, that's normal. This isn't bizarre or I haven't done
Yes,
anything wrong. But the pushing away, pushing off of creating my own sense of who I am is really important. And if we think back, when I think back in childhood, that was very important to me, no matter
right.
what. So no matter what kind of situation that you're in a parent-child, mother-daughter relationship, that process is inherent to our development. So it's going to happen whether you want it to or not.
Absolutely. And just going back to another point, like that awareness, right? And as a daughter myself, I've been sassy to my mother, right? And it's something I don't necessarily want to perpetuate into my quest of a mother to be
Yes.
someday. So, and I know you said there are 5 subtypes of daughters, and it's so important to identify your know-it-all, a princess or a creative genius. And, I just found it really, or indecisive or DIY, just so fascinating to have that awareness as a daughter and just not be so demanding about what you expect from your mother.
Yes, and I hope so much that this book really passes through the arms of the moms into the daughters' arms, that daughters can see this book on the coffee table, go, Mom, what are you reading? Oh, that's curious to me. I almost at one point thought I could write it as a mother's side for mothers and the other side, flip it
Aside.
over and have for daughters, but it
Yeah,
was going to be too complicated to do that. So there may be a sequel on, daughters and how they can deal with their moms. But there's plenty in the book that also recognizes the daughter's role and what she can do and ways in which that she can make this relationship better as well if she's open to it. And then there's
yeah,
another piece that I don't know if you're going to ask me or not, but I'm going to jump to it because I do think it's important. Is I do
right.
want moms to know that sometimes we try everything and it may just not be the right timing.
Yeah, are you referring to the pendulum parenting?
Well, I'm referring to that sometimes it's just not going to work no matter what you do,
Yeah, right.
how hard you try, and no matter what changes that you make, your daughter just may be closed off to you. And so it may be that the timing is wrong right now.
Hmm.
Maybe she's going through her own crisis. Maybe she's just had a newborn herself and she doesn't want to hear it from you. She may not have time or the bandwidth in her life to be able to process these very intense emotions with you. So don't get discouraged. But sometimes we do have to put something on the shelf for a little bit, continue to do our own work so that we're staying the best and most healthiest that we can be in a
Yeah,
relationship. And then maybe she'll come around.
yeah. And I liked how you ended the book with self-reflective questions because sometimes people don't even realize what's
Mhm.
going on. And I think inquisitive questions or self-retrospective questions have the magic wand to actually put you into context for things that you didn't even imagine were sitting and were dormant, right? So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. And there was a piece of the book that was really fun for me is I got to interview some daughters of various
Right.
ages and I had asked them these particular questions like what's the worst part about your experience with your mom?
Yeah.
What's the best part about your experience with your mom? What do you wish would never change? And these women were so beautiful in writing basically novels. I had to cut out some of it because it was so much. They had so much to say, but they said it with love. And that was what was so beautiful to me that even when daughters can be really mad at their moms, at the core, they love you. They want to have the relationship with you most of the time. I can't say all the time. I've certainly had some mother-daughter duos where that was not the case.
Yeah.
For the most part, if you have that gem and you have that seed of love, you can build a healing tree. You can produce a healing tree with lots of fruit.
Amazing. Mothers, daughters, relationships are precious bonds. You said it. So, I really, really, really enjoyed this read, and the entire community of mothers to daughters and beyond should rush and get a copy of Sassy and Rude. It's available on Amazon. Is there any other means for people to have access to your book or even stay connected with you? How do we
Oh,
spread the word? Yeah,
please visit my website, which will have all my social media links as well, which is drdebraonline.com, Drebra online.com, and all my other 4 other books that were published before that are
before.
they're fun too, like Dump That Chump if you're in a bad relationship, or
Yes.
Don't Call Me a Drama Queen. That's
I like that title. Yeah.
And then the one that was the inspiration for all of my writing, which is Healing the Sensitive Heart. And that's basically so that we work hard at not recreating the wounds that we experienced in our own lives and not pass
Yeah.
them forward. So that's a good adjunct to this book if you want to do some deeper healing with your own self and get through some of those traumas that we carry forward.
Amazing. Do you have any other words you like to maybe share with the mother's daughter community? You know, it's a community of women really looking to connect, just things that have worked for you in your career and, even in your relationship with your daughter.
I will say, hands down, it's go with the heart. Find heart. When you're in your head and you need to be right and you need to be the one who is the speaker and the know-it-all or doing any of those things, you're going to lose the heart. And when you have the heart, it's going to carry you so far.
So beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Deborah. This was so amazing. I feel exactly how I felt when I was reading the book. And I just want to thank you so much for your support and really, taking the time to come here and share what you're really doing to transform the way we go about these relationships to make this world a better place.
Thank you so much. Very meaningful to me to be here. So I really appreciate it.